Somehow I don't believe him, though.
You're right, you're right.
When I say people, you say power. People,
Power.
People,
Power.
When I say we want, you say freedom. We want
Freedom.
We want
Freedom.
We want
Freedom.
We want
Freedom.
We want
Freedom.
We'll have to try it again sometime later. You kind of convinced me, but not really. How's everybody doing? We're good? You look good. Welcome to the People's Forum. Welcome to the People's Forum. Do you know what neighborhood you're in right now? Don't say Midtown, please. This is Hell's Kitchen. Do you know Hell's Kitchen? There is a long history in this space, not particularly the space that we're in, but the community that we're in. Hell's Kitchen was the hub for a lot of the working class rebellions that were taking place in New York City at the beginning of the century. This is a working class community. A lot of the folks that make this city run and work out of this community is precisely the poor and dispossessed, the folks that are being gentrified out of their communities all throughout New York City. And this is why the People's Forum is here, because we want to make sure that people, the working class, the poor, the dispossessed, have a beautiful space to meet, to strategize, to build together, to learn, to bring political education to the core of the movement, and understand that culture is at the heart of the conception of what we do and what we build, and is not separate. To understand that technology and media have a role in movement, and to learn the skills necessary to be able to win. Because at the end of the day, I have a 3-year-old that's running around. And how many of you have kids? How many of you have brothers and sisters? How many of you have baby nephews and nieces? We want to be able to equip them to be able to advance the struggle, because we know capitalism, we might not end it today, but at some point we will win. And so we need to be equipped to be able to do that. And this space is a contribution to movement. And so we thank you for being here. My name is Claudia de la Cruz, and I'm one of the folks that envisioned this space along with a collective of folks. We've been dreaming about this space for 2.5 years, but there were people that came before us that have been dreaming of a space like this for many, many years. And so we thank you. We hope that you become part of our community. We're really excited to have Sister Dr. Elaine Brown in the house. We are a product of the history that she helped create, and we are also responsible for continuing the legacy. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sierra Taylor. I'm the membership manager here. So if you have an organization that is down to unite poor people, working class people who are committed to struggle, or if you're an artist, please reach out to me so we could talk to you more about this space. Starting this event today, I would like to welcome the homie Civil to open us up.
Please do. I feed off the energy and everything. I'm very honored to be here. I think it's awesome and amazing that there's a space like this. When Sierra first showed me, it felt like this is like activist Avengers, kind of the space. It's like, the facility is amazing to me. And I think it's important for people to see that because, to believe what the possibilities are and what we can have access to in terms of the workshops and the political education, the cultural education. I think a hub like this is really important. And I'm also honored to just be in the presence of 2 former, Black Panther Party members and a chairperson of the Black Panther Party. I think just to be, we get caught up in thinking how far history is, and we don't realize how recent all of these things are, and how much further we have to go. So with that said, my name is Civil. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a rapper and producer. We can start throwing on some of this stuff right here.
It's one thing talk about doing something, and it's another thing to get down to nitty-gritty and do it. If we want to do it.
I don't really like the term woke or conscious. Like, I just try to be socially responsible in my music. I feel, you know, real fortunate to try to use my message for good, but I'm still, you know, 20-something-year-old cat from Brooklyn, so, you know, that comes with it. And as you can hear, you know, I've always, early on in my projects, I've used a lot of speeches from different Black Panther Party members and stuff because, again, I feel like these messages are still important and still relevant today. You know, so that's, if you listen to my projects from Uncle Billy Tape to B26, you notice there's a trend there. And we can get into this next joint. This is the intro of my new project called The New Vanguards. And I'll get more into that title and what that signifies in a little bit. Y'all ready? Can y'all make some noise? Yeah. Can you turn it up a little bit? Black power, brown power, hour. Try to kill us with the powder. Avon up in the towers. Fuck the system, never helped us. Now they better duck for shelter. OGs never felt us, so we build it for ourselves first. Unity, we getting killed with impunity. Fuck all those eulogies, to me it be feeling like 2 weeks. This shit intersection, no, we move in one direction, though. That shit so perplexing, yo, I hope you get the message soon. Fuck all these isms and phobias, the system is gonna keep controlling ya. Brother, you need to keep growing up, the rest of us will not be showing up. Time for new vanguards, handle it like Shamgar. Call me HBK, babe, tuning up the band, y'all. Sweet chin music for the ops in case I lose it. Off the top, I elbow drop and chuck the deuces. I know killers, drug dealers, homies with the PhDs. They gon' feel us cause we feel us. We gon' run up in the street. This is 12 a.m., it's a new day. We gon' let go of the baggage, lose the suitcase. From where they pull triggers like it's toothpaste. Trying to use that energy in new ways. Feel me? Trying to be Stokely before they gon' rope me. I'm New York is Oakley, so do not provoke me. Peace to Pio, Del Mio, strong on bars, Del Rio. I can never be a fucking CO, I can never be a fucking PO. Open bars and free my people, keep the pace, yeah I'm Oladipo. We gon' build this shit Home Depot. Never be scared of our own people, never be scared of our own people. Never be scared of our own people, never be scared of our own people. Never be scared of our own people. Thank you. So, sorry, that record gets me amped. Now I'm ready to turn up. So, again, I'm from Brooklyn. We got anybody from Uptown in the building? All right, Queens. All right, so this next record right here is like, you know, I think of Brooklyn, I think of Oakland, I think of New Orleans, I think of DC. Think of the Bronx, you know, the BX. You know, again, gentrification is really, you know, attacking our communities, and we have to find ways to fight back against that. And this, you know, this record right here addressed that. This goes all the way back to the Uncle Billy tape. So, my mama tired but can't retire, feel my fire. It made me sick how struggles mired amongst desires. Face it, can't lay basic in granny's basement. My mind racing, I'm losing my patience, never had none. A doctor smelling like mad rum. Lack fun, lack huns, confidence, add guns. The cycle that start with the rifle, a pop of the pistol, a dudes who look like you. They success starts to ignite you. Think shit sweet cause New York is your home. Poverty, discrepancy, worse than Sierra Leone. See Brooklyn, the third world, the kingdom near Barclay. Debt's too hard to pay, we forced out honestly. Tale of two worlds, the story of two cities. Darkness, the underworld, the surface is so pretty. We came here and we thought that we found home, but ain't no brown skins and none of them brown stones, we gone. All right, we can throw on to that next one. I promise everything ain't gonna be, you know, as gloomy and shit. We're gonna have a little fun. This record is called Last Stop. It's on B26. Last Stop.
In New York, if you ain't a giant, they make you jet. I know some Bronx bombers that I promise you never met. They blowing nicks like they blowing pics, yo, they'll take your vet. We don't watch hockey, somebody stop me while I take a breath. Nation of domination, Rock Farouk and D-Lo Brown, this my proclamation. Educating my people now, Afrofuturistic shit. Black Blade Runners, Dominican Harrison Ford, waging war this summer. I'm the Mad Mac, they treating us like lab rats. Why scream the blast back, no remorse and that's that. I'm standing tall, ain't no running now, cause every one of my heroes dead, sleeping underground. Ain't that profound, fighting psychosis, me Malenko with Billy Kidman. I'm body slamming the hitman, Bruce Lee, but I'm really it, man. CIV the boys with left hooks and a best look. So these dude rants like I caught passes from Westbrook.
We have to make a new slogan. One people, one voice. And we have to move as a people in our neighborhood to control. We have to stop reacting and we have to become aggressive. We can no longer stand up and beg.
How y'all feeling? Make some noise. People dying, been starving for truth. By the doors, the light-skinned spook who set fire to boost. Fuck tokenisms and open prisons. I'm spitting these spoken rhythms. What's different when no one listens? I'm sick of our whole condition. Save for this generation, speaking about elevation, hope souls that I'm penetrating, inspired, start demonstrating, fighting and I'll be patient, surviving in America's a full-time occupation. My fam sold and did drugs, wanting no Black Panthers, they created me in the hopes that civil would be the answer. Those coke lines you did is dope lines that I spit, all that weed that you be smoking is ill joints. Wanna hit the city on my back, strong lats by how I flip bars, Mr. Incredible, people I fly my Pixar, last stop, but I hold you hostage. This my reign, taking the game, spitting flame, promoting conscience.
We have to decide where the battleground is going to be. How the war is going to be waged. How the war is going to be waged.
We really can't forget where we came from, yo. This shit continues. Not much has changed over the past 40, 50 years. Also, I produce all my shit, so if you feeling the beats, you know, holla at me. Bounce, hey, hey. So I just get caught up in this shit, cause this shit kind of fire. So, you know, again, another message in my music, the whole thing that I try to approach is that I know hip hop traditionally or historically has had a lot of misogynistic, you know, just been very misogynistic over the history of hip hop, you know, even until now, right? And what we faced is we're faced it's intersectional what we go through. So I try to address that in the music. You know, I feel like women should not be beaten up by music, you know, by hip hop. The LGBTQ community should not be attacked by hip hop. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be a Stockholm Syndrome relationship with so many members of our community feeling abused by the music that they love and want to love. And it's also not my business to shame what anyone else listens to, right? So my whole thing is I just want to provide an alternative. I'm trying to make music that bangs, that people can fuck with, that they're like, oh, okay, I don't got to be misogynistic. I don't got to call women bitches and hoes in my music. I don't got to, you know, use all this homophobic language and implications in my records. So that's what we're trying to do. And I've tried to make it a trend to address these things in my music. So we can go on to this next track called Awake in New York. You can turn it up a little bit.
New York, I can't sleep. I'm awake in New York, I can't sleep. So awake
Too much.
Can't.
You the object of attention that everybody gotta mention. Can't walk by for a second without someone talking reckless. Whether in leggings, sundresses, or even a hijab. They hawk your Levi's and fantasize about your knee highs. They don't care if you 11 or 27. You get it from your brethren and even in front of reverends. Walking with your kids, they still saying some shit. Running game, asking if you want bills paid or some shit. And then they say you incited, that your fat ass the reason that they all get like they can't control their impulses or even hide it. Get mad when you quiet cause they're eager for slighted. You got dudes who turn violent when you forced to turn them down. When they think you stuck up, they be bent on pulling you down. Petty motherfuckers put hands on you. I wish more of our brothers would take a stand for you, but instead we call you ugly and saying that you a bitch cause you don't like being harassed every day since you 6. This the shit I can't take in New York. I swear to God, it's hard being awake in New York. We need to listen to what she say because this type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. This type of shit we need to listen to what she say because this type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. Hashtags in abundance, weighing on your mind. Every time you get stopped and it ain't about a crime, you get it poppin', you the trending topic online. Wonder how the cops who shot us be doing all fine. When it comes to your existence, they don't really care, except they do, cause in reality, they don't want you here. For whatever reason, I breathe and it's something that they fear. Simultaneously love the culture, hate the people we revere. I never fear my brother walking through Brooklyn nights, but I stay guarded for pigs who will stop me for not looking right. Looking like war in the black and the brown poor, they cleaning this out more, hope to make it a sophomore. It ain't in my control, I ain't in my own life, cause people who think we ain't human on sight. So fuck the polites, opposite of polite. Fighting for your rights, not an option, it's that or your life. Black lives matter to us and us only. The way they treat us every day, fucking show me. This the shit I can't take in New York. I swear to God, it's hard being awake in New York. Need to listen to what we say because this type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. You need to listen to what we say because this type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. This type of shit happens every day. Yeah. You know, so All right, running a little short on time. So this record I came across a while ago, a long time ago. I came across Sister Elaine Brown's music, and I thought it was like amazing, and it impacted me. And for a long time, I wanted to work on a song, and it just didn't feel kind of like right, you know, to that moment. And for this latest project I've been working on, I thought it just really exemplified what we were trying to do. So. This is a song I recently made, and I wanted to kind of preview for everyone, especially you. And again, thank you for your influence and everything. So we can kind of throw that on. Yes. I had a couple of other ratchet joints that, you know, we can get into at another time. Just follow civil_NY on Instagram. The project New Vanguards will be out soon. And again, that's just the idea of challenging us to move forward and to say, like, how do we progress these, you know, the framework that was laid before us, and what do we do next, and what are we doing now, you know? So we can throw on that. You Kwame Brown, I'm Kwame Tori, a laureate, spitting this blind fury. My story, we've been imploring it. We've been war with the rich, they keep us fucking poor as shit. In the hood, liquor stores, people drinking, pouring it. There's many walls to stop us from living up to our potential. It ain't simple as they would like to present you. We coded resources, withholded based on your residential. Violence is ancestral and transcendental. I sit back, think what beautiful lives we could ever leave if we fight the divisive mentalities of our enemies. Remember, these were symptoms of higher causes. We meet their forces, they rope and dope us, and leaders disappear, they hocus pocus. So bogus, with none of that shit in vain. I won't stop till they open the prisons up like Bane. The reason I spit dope, cause they took it in vain. And we gon' rise up, we the county of kings and queens. And again, we must not forget about our sisters and the issues that they face and that we're also complicit in and take part in. That's very important, yo. We have to do this all together. Say her name, say her name, say her name. Nye Wilson on my brain, and my sisters, I feel your pain. Don't think we need to explain our current mind frame, but when we react, you already know who to blame. Fuck a permit patty, they wantin' us dead so badly. Shit ain't cute, they call the cops cause they pop for tally. Shit's infuriating, we react, the jury's waiting. Getting stopped and frisked and feeling humiliated. What James say, we in a constant state of rage. Racism ain't a craze, ain't changing this day and age. The people that hate us ain't never gonna change their ways, so we make them feel the fire going out in the blaze. I'll never be afraid, my ancestors were enslaved. My cousin was in a cage, my family was depraved. No choice but to be brave. I do this for the folks we lost and couldn't save. 1 foot is in my grave, let's go. You never forget. All our people mass incarcerated, can never forget about them.
Keep that with you forever. Never stop.
The spirit of my people, I'm holding on to the soul stone. Don't make me snap, I react, bringing the goal home. For the folks we lost to jail, violence and drugs, and the absence of affectionate hugs and the love. Somehow we rise above, cause they push us through. And when I think about love, all I think is you. See, I look in the mirror and I notice they true. Cause you got us here, and what we face ain't new. With that said, fuck crack, fuck the popo, fuck Reagan. Fuck Trump, fuck Bloomberg, fuck enslavement. Fuck Rikers, fuck banks, fuck the payments. Fuck white supremacy, middle fingers up. Fuck crack, fuck the popo, fuck Reagan. Fuck Bloomberg, fuck Trump, fuck enslavement. Fuck Rikers, fuck banks, fuck the payments. Fuck white supremacy and all who maintain it. Thank you for taking your time out with me and rocking. I appreciate it. I appreciate the energy, not the enemy. Fuck the enemy. The name is Civil. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at civil_NY. I have a couple of CDs here if anybody wants them. You know, whatever you're willing to pay or whatever, don't matter. You know, I got them. So thank you. Appreciate it. Shout out to the People's Forum.
Thank you for coming today. I hope you feel very welcome. We had good food, good music. I don't know about you, but I'm from North Philly, right? And my high school, 75%, it has a 75% dropout rate in my high school. What taught me was hip hop. What taught me was music, was culture. So it's very important for us to bring that to the space, especially if we want to welcome young people, meet them where they are, and give them something that they feel like, yo, you're home. We got food for you, made with love. This is not like we didn't buy it, like it was made in the back kitchen. So thank you to everyone who helped us, everyone with TPF and who's the People's Forum and techactivist.org. If you could raise your hand real fast. Thank you all for helping us put this event on. So my name is Idalin Bobe, and I'm the founder of techactivist.org. Being a founder really, it's not like a prestige title. What this organization and why it was so important, it was founded in 2014 when I spent 14 months in Ferguson, Missouri, after the killing of Mike Brown. What I found when I was there, and I only went to support and to volunteer for 3 weeks, was that 200 FBI agents were also on the front lines, on the ground. And how can our people really defend themselves if they don't have the tools? So to me, it was just like, if you're an activist in the 21st century, if you're an activist today, you need 21st century skill sets. It was an honor to also have Tyson Amir, who is our co-director leading the West Coast, who does dope work in the schools, in prisons, teaching our people how to code. To meet him and then meet Sister Elaine Brown, who we met at a coffee shop, and she just taught me so much, like the fact that in 1972, the Black Panther Party included technology in their 10-point program, which a lot of people don't know. And here we are, 2018, always talking about diversity in tech, begging corporations to let our people in, knowing corporations don't do nothing for our people. They've never helped poor people. They could care less about us. But here you have in 1972, the Black Panther Party included technology. Why? Because we needed community control of it. So we're going to talk about not the scare tactics of what these tech companies are doing. We know they have digital prisons. We know they're taking a whole bunch of our privacy. But what are we doing as a people to prepare, to fight back, to hack back, to do all that good stuff? So I want to welcome Tyson, who is an amazing brother of mine. Thank you.
Greetings. It's great to be. It's a beautiful facility. Y'all are beautiful people, but most importantly, our focus is the freedom and the liberation of our people. And we have an incredible guest, a beautiful mind, a powerful tradition that is going to speak to us on the point of technology. But for real, our goal is the freedom and the liberation of our people. And so just to say a little bit about Sister Elaine Brown. So today is October 13th. So the Black Panther Party was founded October 15th, 1966. So we're approaching the 52nd anniversary of the Black Panther Party. And it's not just a historical concept. This is a real concept for us. There's so much in the example of the party that we need to be aware of on an intimate level, and we need to take on as a responsibility and find out how we carry that tradition forward. Sister Elaine joined the party in 1968 in Los Angeles. She was under the leadership of Bunchy Carter, John Huggins as well. Eventually came up to the Bay Area under the leadership of Huey P. Newton. And then she worked with so many of these brothers and sisters that we read in history books or we see in documentaries and we consider to be our heroes. This is the living example of that. She took the leadership of the party after Huey went into exile in '73, led the party for about 3.5, 4 years during an incredible instrumental time of the party, which is a very tangible example of things that we could be doing, whether we're here in New York or on the West Coast. And so without any further ado, I really hope that our hearts are open, our minds are open, and that we are going to pay attention to what the sister has to say because she is a living example for us. Sister Elaine Brown.
So first of all, I want to, besides saying power to the people that we always say, and we're going to talk about what does that mean, but I'm not here to entertain you, so I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to happen. You might not even be entertained, or you might be something, I don't know what, but I was asked by my young sister and daughter from another mother back there, Miss Idalin Bobe, if I would come here and talk about the question of technology that we talked about when we were in the Black Panther Party. But before I do that, I want to introduce one of my comrades who is one of my heroes, was in the Southern California chapter with me. Mr. Bruce Richard was one of the most significant soldiers in the party, took bullets and imprisonment as a member of the party, came out on the other side, has been a union leader for a long time now, and had the courtesy to show up here to hear us. We have a old people's reunion, but anyway, Bruce, if you'd at least raise your hand and let these people know what a soldier looks like. That's right. You're gonna stand up for some hip hop, stand up for this man. Bruce Richard is a soldier and lived to tell the story, and really, we're bonded at the hip in so many ways, but certainly the night that he was shot and we all thought he was going to die, and there we were. Bruce, you were, what, 19 years old at the time? Some people want 18, talk about how young you are today. Just remember the Black Panther, most of our members. I was an old Panther. I was the age of Bunchy Carter at the time, so that was in October 18th of 1969. And we buried Touré in the same incident, Walter Touré Pope, in the same incident that Bruce was shot by the police and ultimately did quite a few years in the joint. But looking good, in case y'all didn't know. And Idalin Bobe, the interesting thing is that she and I grew up in the same neighborhood at different times. North Philly, she grew up in an area called, that we call Crosstown. We didn't go to Crosstown because they didn't even have like windows with glass. You know, it's like people had plastic. Philly is very rough. If you haven't been there, I know you think you've been somewhere, but you got to go to North Philly to appreciate what it's like. Anybody understand that? Because that's how we're still living. I was there last week in Philadelphia and took a picture of the house where I grew up at 2051 West York. And I thought about how we're still living today in Philadelphia and elsewhere in America. Black people living a third world reality in the first world. W.E. Du Bois said to be poor is a hardship, but to be poor in a land of dollars is the bottom of hardship. When I saw the house in Philadelphia where I grew up, all I could do, I'm trying to find my water. Hey, excuse me. Hand me that water thing. All I could do was weep. I just wept because people were still living there. It was a satellite dish. It looked like a bombed out area. It was rough. It's looking worse than it did. And it's the same house. And I remember my aunt's room was upstairs. And I remember all the rats and roaches. And I mean rats, I don't mean mice. And they look like they probably took over, and right now they're living there. They didn't even bother to gentrify that area because they've already got Broad Street where Temple University has eaten up all of North Philly. But then when I was looking at all of that, and just one more reminder, because that's West Oakland, that's wherever, you know, these are all interchangeable cities, right? I remembered that there is now a 3D printer that can make a house. So when we talk about housing, I'm looking at this house and I'm looking at my people, generation upon generation, occupying 2051 West York Street. Why don't they have a decent house if we know how to make a house with a 3D printer? What the hell is wrong with us? So that made me think about this whole question and bring it back in. So to talk about the question of technology as it relates to freedom, I just want to mention that Black Panther Party's first point was we want freedom, power to determine the destiny of our black community. And that's a pretty clear statement because people go, what is freedom? You have all these intellectual conversations and people do papers on the meaning of freedom. Am I free to be in the LGBTQ community? Am I free to be a woman? Am I free to be art? I mean, so what are we really talking about? And so we talked about self-determination, and we talked about that within the framework of black people, particularly in the United States of America. The party's 10th point, as Idalin pointed out in 1972, changed to say this was our general demand, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and people's community control of modern technology. Now that's how we said it back then. And noticing that we were not talking about our individual identity issues and that sort of neoliberal, if I believe I can fly ideal that has permeated this country for so long, where we just believe in ourselves and that's just enough. We don't care about the rest of the community. So the Black Panther Party's goals were not related to the individual achievement and success in the United States of America, but to the people ourselves as a people. The question is, what do we want today? Are we really concerned with saying, when we say Black Lives Matter, I just talked to a group of people and said, do Black lives really matter to Black people? Because I look around and I see all these elected Negroes, and I'd rather see a few races. I'll take a Klansman, and we're not gonna talk about people like Kanye West, because that's just on another planet, another level. Or Lil Wayne talking about, I'm not Black, I'm rich, which is neither of which is true. You are Black and you're not rich. You might be nigger rich, but you're not rich. So do we just want to break through the gender and race glass ceilings? Like, you know, we're just happy if we can have conversations and dialogue about issues. Do we just want to change government policy, believe everything in place? So I want you to know, I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm here to address the question of revolutionary change in the context of technology. As I mentioned today, we are living at the bottom of society. I'm talking about Black people. We have the highest poverty rate, lowest education level, highest homelessness rates, highest cancer death rates, infant mortality and maternal mortality rates, lowest education, and we have no wealth. We don't own anything in America. We don't. We don't own anything in America. I asked some brothers and sisters, I work with a lot of formerly incarcerated people in Oakland. I was saying, well, okay, I want us to think about controlling our own destiny. So I said, let's think about transportation. What do you think about? And they thought about getting a rapid transit card. You know what I mean? Didn't even occur to, like, out here you have ships and planes and things that we have nothing to do with. Zero. We don't even have it. People tell you, your phone is breaking up. No, that's not my phone. I don't have nothing to do with that satellite. That's a piece of plastic I got to pay for every month if I want to be connected to a satellite. And so whatever's happening up there, I don't even know what it is. We don't know what it is doing. If the lights go out in here, everybody's going to get confused. That's how little we are in control of the wealth of this nation. But we have to really concentrate, and I still want to talk about freedom, which means the power to determine the destiny of our communities. So if we're going to talk about that, then we'll talk about the Black Panther Party a little bit in this context. Ideologically, people don't realize it, but the Black Panther Party was a Marxist-Leninist organization. At the same time, we knew that our primary goal was the liberation of black people, because we recognized that as the enslavement and oppression of black people in the United States was the foundation of capitalism. Blacks could never be free under the very system that oppressed us and enslaved us, which had made America great. Marx stated that without slavery, there would have been no cotton, and without cotton, there would have been no industry, period. So blacks in the United States are oppressed under the capitalist structure like other poor and working people, but blacks are also oppressed as a race. And this is where you find the convergence of race and class in one group of people. So that is why I'm going to focus a lot of what I'm saying on the question of black people in the United States. As a matter of fact, one of the great examples of how this comes together was Thomas Jefferson. You know, when people say, oh, I really wanted Hillary Clinton to be president, and I'm trying to figure that out. But because Trump is so terrible, and they say, well, aren't you upset about Trump? And I said, well, what is the difference between Donald Trump and Thomas Jefferson? Oh, they get very upset because, people love Thomas Jefferson. He's different. He was an enlightened, man, and not to count a big slaveholder. Right. But in any case, in a book he wrote called Notes on the State of Virginia, he describes why blacks really can't be brought into this new experiment where we talk about the equality of all people. He said, there's this kind of inherent inferiority, and this is the way he says it. He says their skin, the color of their skin is not, it's that immovable veil of black. It's not beautiful like the admixture of red and white in the white man, and their hair is not long and flowing like our hair, and they have an odor, a disagreeable odor, and they're lazy, and they lust after their women, and they have no music or art or literature in them. I advance it, therefore, Thomas Jefferson says, that the black is inferior to the white in the endowments of both body and mind. Now, that just means that we are born inferior, and that's the end of that. And so he could keep his slaves and raping the slave girls and all the stuff that he was doing. But it divided the country so that people began to not see the class relationship with the slave, even though the poor whites in the country and all who were coming in, and as the industrialization rose, so forth and so on. So that was the sort of beginning of the justification for slavery was race. Now, Huey P. Newton asserted that capitalism was revolutionary when it replaced feudalism. But then we realized that in order for black people, if we realize that for us to control our destinies, the revolutionary change has to take place, and capitalism will have to be replaced by a new social construct, one in which we share all the resources and distribute the wealth in an egalitarian manner. This was a Marxist notion of the socialist state. But in Huey's treatise called The Technology Question, which is why we've changed the 10th point to add in control of technology, Huey argued that technology had created a global economy, effectively erasing the notion of nations and therefore eliminating the creation of a socialist state. Now, some of this might get a little messy, but I'm going to make it very quickly plain. In other words, Huey was saying because of technology, there were no more nations, that the generated global economy had trumped the economic sovereignty of individual nations. Let's talk about why the Europeans formed the European Union, and then you begin to see it. What's the significance of the French franc at this point, or the Deutschmark, or anything? That's gone, right? And they start trying to hold on to that because Trump's trying to break that down. And then why was Gaddafi killed by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama? Because he was forming the African Economic Union, right? And getting ready to eliminate all the debt because he had the money. They dragged him through the streets like a dog and so forth and so on. So where's the sovereignty of Libya, or really of any country in Africa? How can we say that with this imperial march of the United States that any country around the world has independent sovereignty and can be called an independent nation? We can talk about China, but in a minute. And Huey said that we say that the struggle in the world today is between the small circle that administers and profits from the empire of the United States and the peoples of the world who want to determine their own destinies. So let's look at how we talk about the police murders of blacks today in the United States, which I want to just mention. I just don't want to hear anybody say, I know you came out of Ferguson, Idalin, but hands up, don't shoot. You know, I got a picture of Jonathan Jackson when he took over that courthouse, and he has that M1 carbine on this pig, and he's taking his gun out of his holster, the cop's gun out of his holster, Johnson is. So I put a label to that and said, hands up, don't shoot. Now that would be a better image for me. Oh, I see somebody was listening. Thank you. So you look at a police action in the United States, going out here and just killing people arbitrarily as they do every day. But we look at a country like Syria, and so the United States says Syria is a problem. Let's just bomb Damascus. Now wait a minute. What happened to, like, is this a war we're in Syria? We don't even know anymore. This is not a sovereign country. We just told them what they can't do, just like we tell Korea. You better dismantle all your nuclear weapons or whatever it is. And just like we talk about Iran, we're talking to Iran like we are running Iran, like we run the community, black community. Matter of fact, we do, don't we? Not we, them. The same people that control us. Talking about Iran can't have no nuclear weapons when Israel got all the nuclear weapons in the world, ain't nobody even checking them. Right? Why? Because Israel's a part of the United States. It's part of the empire. As is everybody. Look at why is the United States in Afghanistan? Nobody can tell you today. I mean, why is America there? And then Betsy DeVos's brother, her crazy brother that owns Blackwater, owns Blackwater. This is my speech. That owns Blackwater. let a sister speak. So the Blackwater guy is trying to convince the United States to get rid of all the American troops and bring in some private Blackwater folks. And that's how crazy it is. In other words, just like we have Israelis training cops in Atlanta. Am I making this stuff up? Here they are training cops in Atlanta. How does this work? And all of Africa is under the heel of the United States, as it has been, but it was before that it was colonization. But right now, you know, of the 23 poorest countries in the world, 9 are in Africa. And they're in the same status, basically, as black people in the United States. I look at Sierra Leone. I met a brother from Sierra Leone called, he was a chief. Talking about he came to Georgia where I was living at the time because he wanted to find out if we could put together packages of rice to send into Sierra Leone. I said, wait a minute. Don't you have all the bad diamonds on the planet in Sierra Leone? How is it that you would come to Georgia and ask some black people for some rice? That's just incredible. You don't have food, but you got diamonds. How's that possible? Well, you know, all the diamonds, all that so-called blood diamonds, where they said the blacks were fighting each other. I can talk about that for a minute. But the point is, the whole of the diamond industry in Africa is controlled through De Beers and the same old Oppenheimer, just same old South Africa, the same thing. So why am I saying this? Because technology has allowed the United States to control the world's economy so that we are beyond colonialism and neo-colonialism now. We're somewhere else. I think it should be noted that the reason that the U.S. was able to develop and control technology because the white men who have been in control of the technology and who have been enjoying hundreds of years of economic superiority arising from the foundations of hundreds of years of slavery, giving them the time, the space, and the resources to discover and invent and think. We out here scuffling for food, and I'm coming up with the atom bomb. Let me think. I'm just going to be thinking all day. That's what I'm actually going to be doing all day. I don't have to scuffle for food or housing or any of these things. I have the leisure to do that because I've exploited so many people during the various phases of the rise of capitalism in the United States. So that as a result, you have global communications, global transportation, global production, sales, and distribution of products and services. The world itself has been reduced to a collection of communities, no different than the hood. A world without borders under the economic and military rule of the United States. And this is what Huey Newton called a global state of reactionary intercommunalism, intercommunalism. But this same technology that created the empire has brought the people of the world together. When Coca-Cola said, I want to buy the world of Coke, meaning I want to sell the world of Coke, but in order for them to sell the world, they had to have the means of transportation, communication, and so forth to do that. So the technology has strangely united everybody in the world. You know, Facebook and all of that, right? Through communications, transportation. So this shift that we used to assert, that this shift created the conditions for a revolutionary change in America. And how is that? And throughout the world. Because if we're united and it's us against them and there's more of us, once we begin to understand what is keeping us there and we seize that unity, whether it looks good now or not, we can create a new kind of world, and we don't have to wait to have social state here, social state there. We can create global revolutionary, what we call revolutionary intercommunalism. So the question is whether or not the oppressed people of the world can use this united state to seize control of technology to their common benefit and make it act in a desired manner. We look at the African continent today, you got people that don't even have running water and got cell phones with a Facebook on it. People in the hood with Instagramming all day long, ain't got no heat in their house. Matter of fact, don't have a house. Up there Instagramming. So we know we are connected to this stuff. It's just that we have been living in dreamland here, or happy for the little teeny crumbs to be putting out my Facebook page with my play cousin's birthday party. Thank you, at least somebody understood. You know, or something. I write these people all the time, please don't come on my Facebook page, and I do have one because my daughter maintains it. People say, oh, I'm your Facebook friend. I'm like, oh, okay. I ain't know. I don't read it, you know. But she does, just to make sure everybody's not out there organizing to hurt me or something, right? I'm still paranoid from back in the day. I don't know about you. So the question is, can we use the existing tech advantages and knowledge and maybe create some new technologies to produce what we need? A kind of survival program pending, as we used to say, revolution, in terms of food, housing, clothing, education. Can we do it? Do we have the ability to use the existing technology and create new technologies to take down the empire and install a new and better world society that we want? You know, despite industrialization, the fact that industrialization passed over blacks, you know, my mother said, when people got to talking about the Depression back in the day, my mother's like, what depression? You know, it's like when people say the market is receding or whatever they say, black people don't know what that means. That stuff is like way over here. Industrialization escaped us. We didn't get no jobs, we were discriminated against, and we didn't control any of it. So the good news is we have nothing to undo or unlearn. We don't have to worry about working in a coal mine or not working in a coal mine or having a coal mine, because we never had anything to do with that other than to build them in the beginning when we were coming out of slavery and being re-enslaved. But despite the fact that we've never had any relationship to this economy other than in an oppressed state, and as low-level consumers and now better consumers, we still reinvented ourselves every generation and survived by creating everything we could America's only original music, jazz, America's real cuisine, and everything from blood plasma to the development of the personal computer. Oh, that's right. Let's remember that part, right? Dr. Mark Dean, right? If you didn't know it, know it. One of the inventors of the personal computer who was black, despite lack of education, lack of opportunity, despite the schools that were in Idalin's neighborhood. Some kind of way, we still forged ahead. So if black people could do this for the last 400 and some years, you know good and well, we ought to be able to deal with what's going on right now if we have the will and we have a goal to achieve that will, to achieve that. The agrarian capitalists that started this country ruled by the gun, killed all the native people. You know, these people talk about the gun culture of America today. Wait, the country was founded on the gun. That's how the country got founded. Just wipe out the entire Powhatan Confederacy in Virginia and call it Jamestown, after King James, author of the Bible. So they did it through the gun and then exploited human labor to make it for free, where there were no machines producing rice and cotton and other products that the entire world began to buy and became some of the richest men in the world. The industrial capitalists, they were able to rule through ruthless human exploitation, cheap labor operating machines, seizing the means of production and the materials, everything from clothing to coal, everything. Now we are in what one book calls, and I happen to like this book, calls the second machine age. Now what is that? The first machine age was all the industrial, you know, coming up with a steam engine, so forth and so on, so that everything for all the thousands of years of human beings that we know of in recorded history that was made by human labor. But a machine changed that. The steam engine and the machine changed that so that we don't make things anymore. Well, we don't have to. There are things that, machines that can replace all human labor and do it faster. And we now know that we're in the second machine age, as this book calls it, where we have ideas and programs that can even make stuff faster and different, right? So the tech capitalists rule by control of computer programs, don't they? Is this making any sense to anybody, Elaine? And they expedite development of everything imaginable, right? Anything you can imagine can be produced at this point, right? Everything is knowable, we just don't know it. But we know now that we probably can know it. We're gonna know something. And this is how we can begin to think about controlling technology. Now, there's still the Exxons and the Walmarts, but the global economy is dominated by tech corporations. Most of them are rising in Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, right? And all these guys went to school some kind of way to end up in Stanford. I mean, seriously, if you look up Larry Page, the Google guy, these people were rich. Excuse me, his father was like a professor of not computer science, that was the mother. He was whatever it is, if anybody knows, you can tell me. Bill Gates and Microsoft, they thought Bill was just sitting around. He didn't have to finish college. He was going over to Stanford, playing with the big machines over there. Steve Jobs and Apple got his first job from Bill Hewlett of Hewlett-Packard. Gave little Steve a job when he was 13. It's like Mark Zuckerberg, that's my favorite. Here's a little ugly guy, goes to Harvard. I mean, this guy's trying to get a date. And he comes up with a plan for dating. How's the ugly guy going to get a girl? That's his, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Mark Zuckerberg just said, how? And he wasn't even a coder. He got somebody else to do the code to figure out how he could get a girl. Jeff Bezos, he's like the Walmart of the internet, right? What does he actually produce? Nothing. Just fast ways for us to buy more shit, right? That's it. Mark Benioff, now Mark Benioff is a coder, but he has a thing called Salesforce. What do? Data management. What does that even mean? They do what we would like to have done, so we don't have to think about a lot of stuff. We go, how many people are going to show up? We can project and do all these things for these big corporations, right? These people are not doing very much. And then there's Travis Kalanick, right, the Uber guy. He's saying, this is a fast way to get around, yada, yada. But ain't nobody trying to have the cancer cure code? Where's the worldwide energy saving code? Where's the food production code? Where's the end of poverty code? Where's that? We sitting around here talking about you want to be a coder. Let's get to coding. These boys producing shit that we don't even have much of a relationship, like buying a Facebook page. I mean, could you imagine people in rural Africa, Tanzania, 75% of Tanzania doesn't have any electricity. These people up there with cell phones and a Facebook page talking about whatever it is that they could possibly be talking about. So if we believe and know that there is indeed a thing like a 3D printer that can make a house, we have to know that we can imagine the infinite possibilities of what we can do by using our minds that are conscious in the interest of our people. Now, if you don't have the will to do that, then there's no point in this conversation. The global crop of capitalists that's out there now, managing data, information, social media, and endless apps for millennial pleasure, how can we, you, because you smart, don't ask me to code. I'm still back in the old school where girls don't do math. I know that sounds stupid, but I don't really mean it, but I do mean it. We need to develop the technology so that our people have houses. You up here whining about gentrification, what the fuck you doing about it? Either you're going to shoot the developer or you're going to get to building some housing. Now, I know you're not going to shoot the developer because you've been crying about this stuff for the last 30 years. I'm building housing in West Oakland. Right, Tyson? 100% free. Allowing people who are formerly incarcerated, building employment for formerly incarcerated people. If you believe this is what you need to do, we can't cry about this stuff anymore. Use your power to build houses for your folks. You know how we got the property that we have in West Oakland? And we deep in the hood, ain't we? We just basically occupied it. And then, well, not quite, but it was kind of like that. And it's, you know, little legal things that you can look up. This shouldn't be much trouble for you to figure out how many empty lots in. Is this really Hell's Kitchen? I met it was a cop in L.A. Remember Panzeek and Pollock? It was a cop in L.A. He says, I'm from Hell's Kitchen. I hate niggers and spicks. That's what I like to shoot him. I was like, he said, you got any problem with that? I said, no, I got a problem with that big 44 because that's not even a standard issue pistol that's in my face. But anyway, Hell's Kitchen don't look like Hell's Kitchen, does it? But anywho, the point is, if we can come up with a technology that can feed our people, I don't care if it gets cooked or not, quite frankly, because I can't cook, so I don't care. But I care that we eat. You know, when people start talking to me about I have a farm, we have a farm, right? We have organic vegetables, but you can't grow that much stuff to feed people for no weeks and months at a time. Not on no little urban farm. It's cute, but it ain't working. There was right down the street from us, there's a place called Mandela Foods. And they're, you know, like organically grown. They're selling kale chips in a bag for $5, you know what I mean? But they in the hood. And it used to be a dollar store right down, 2 doors down, where you could get two big bags of Funyuns for $1, and you get you some hot dogs and a can, no less. But shoot, you could feed like 14 of your little grandchildren that we don't know, they running around. You could feed some people. Now people want to laugh about black people not eating right. Oh, really? Really? What are we doing to produce that food that we need? Whether it's organic or not, because when you get hungry, you know, as I always say to my Muslim friends, Tyson, that don't eat pork, and other people that won't eat meat, and my vegan friends, give it a minute now without no food, and your whole ideology may fall apart, because hunger will have you eating some Funyuns, you know what I mean? You'll be looking for some Funyuns. You'll slap me upside the head for a piece of pork, a pork rind, too. So if they can do all of that, why can't we figure out and find the technology? Why are we talking about also getting rid of them, develop the technology so we will have housing, where we will have food, where we will have medical care, and we will have information that we need to move on and be educated, whether or not the public schools are doing, which they haven't. You know, they abandoned that a long time ago. That is your job, you young people. As Mao Zedong said, and I like to always quote this, you young people full of vim and vigor, you are like the sun at 8 or 9 in the morning. If you're going to be tech activists, you got to be ideologically committed to using your knowledge to advancing the cause of freedom. You can't just sit up here and say, I'm going to write a nice poem. I'm going to do this. I'm a songwriter. Huey Newton was a poet. Mao Zedong was a poet. Che Guevara was a poet. But you've got to begin to get back to the cause of freedom for all of the people. And we can't allow ourselves to be arguing over gender issues, sexual orientation issues, and other identity issues that can cause us to not stay focused on who and what are our common enemy. The Black Panther Party, as a matter of fact, among many things, I'm almost finished. One of the things that we did among the things that people didn't know about, like technology, in 1970, Huey Newton issued a statement that gay liberation was a part of our struggle. Nobody recognizes that. People think there was some kind of crazy black thug boys running around there. People ask me, what does it feel like to be a woman in the Black Panther Party? And so forth and so on, as though we had all these thugs running around. We were an oppressed group within the group, coming with that bourgeois feminist notion, right? Because I always tell the bourgeois feminists, you can't talk to me about black men right now because there was no gender division in the field. I worked like a man, and he was treated like masses bitch. So you can't talk to us about the same things. We haven't had the same experience. These are my brothers, and I'll have an argument with them later. So this is your job because we are in the age of technological mass unemployment, right? It ain't no point in you getting no training course. You have these jobs, they have these job training for people coming out the joint. I'm gonna give you a job. What you gonna train me to do? You know, it's like, well, mostly it's to pull up your pants, don't wear a grill, don't look like you're going nowhere to kill nobody, you know what I mean? But you still not gonna get no job if you're formerly incarcerated, right? Now the part I like is, I always tell these people that I've got formerly incarcerated people that we work with. We're trying to build businesses for them because they ain't gonna get a job. And so I said, well, why don't you train somebody to be a teller? What's the difference in the skill sets between being a Wells Fargo teller and a McDonald's cashier? Same thing. It's like money in, money out. You know, it's like no pickles, cash money, you know, whatever. It's the same thing. No skill sets are required for that because that's over now. That whole tech industrial jobs, the only people doing those things are in the global hinterlands, like Kuala Lumpur or somewhere. You know, you always say on your clothing it has made in Malaysia, some shit, you know. That's where Pooh Diddy, whatever his name is, has his clothing line made. Jay-Z and them, they all up in Southeast Asia exploiting the women there to make their expensive clothing here. So the point I'm making is that the U.S. economy, which is in control of the world economy, remains strong because of technology. Now, the good news is that we have everything to gain from throwing ourselves into this whole tech activism. We came through slavery, we came through discrimination in the industrial age, but somehow technology has provided a strange kind of even playing field. That is to say, you've got your iPhones and your other little stuff, and these are some tools that you can begin to work with, right? The programming, the computer coding, all this stuff has already been done. So we can probably use this stuff and bring something different. We can begin to bring light to the African continent, which has no electricity or energy to have any light, and water and all that stuff. We could be doing that right now. All these people want to be, you know, Afrocentric. Well, be Afrocentric and get some stuff together. Black women on the continent of Africa are the poorest people on the planet. Why? Because they don't have basic things like food or place to stay or shelter, and they're taking care of children, all of that. We can create the tools to seize control of all of the resources on the African continent, as we should have done and harnessed them for our own interest. For housing for the homeless people. We crying about the homeless, and we know there's a 3D printer that makes a house. Hello, is there anybody listening? Food for the hungry, power for and to the people. Life goes forward, not backwards, so there's no point in us looking back at this point. Seize this new technology, all the new technology. Deal with it, because we're not going to unknow anything anyway. And make that technology act in a desired manner as both a tool and a weapon. Now, they have said that the Russians weaponized social media, right? Anybody heard that? Remember Trump collusion? You know what I'm saying? The Russians weaponized social media, and perhaps they did. Well, why can't we begin to weaponize social media? This don't seem like it's going to be that complicated. You know, it's fake news floating around all day long. In the absence, though, of the collective will to fight this oppressive scheme, to really go forward with arms against a sea of troubles, in light of the absence of that, we can at least begin to dismantle this scheme that controls our lives and create the means for our survival and for the survival of the oppressed people of the world pending revolutionary change. That has to be your goal, to create the tech tools and weaponize them, to educate the people, empower the people toward creating a world where we know the people will be able to live a beautiful life in harmony with each other and with all of nature. And we can begin to talk about power to the people in real terms. All right, thank you. You want me to take some questions or no?
So we are going to move into some Q&A. We'll probably have like 10, 15 minutes for that. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll walk over to you and pass you the mic.
Good, no question.
If you don't got no questions, we can move forward to the next part. Okay.
My name is Ron. Thank you very much for your energy and your presence. It means a lot. My question is, I think there's definitely huge importance with learning technology, but in addition to it, the other side is employment and entrepreneurship. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are with, recognizing the importance of technology, but also being able to launch these tools that we teach the youth or other people, but the connective tissue where the education turns into kinetic energy, where it can be produced into something else, or business can be created too.
Well, first of all, we're not talking about capitalism, and so we're not talking about where I'm going to create a business and you're going to work for me and all of that kind of thing. What we are doing with the organization I have, which Brother Tyson is a part of, called Oakland and the World Enterprises, is that we are creating businesses, and this is all a survival program. This is not the ultimate answer. So what I'm talking about is the big picture, but you're here as tech activists. So the question is, what can you do with that? Like, for example, if you really wanted to build a business, then you could build a tech business where you could produce stuff. I'm all for, creating all kinds of things. I mean, there's things that you could be doing today with technology. But the question we're focused on is, and I'm focused on is, yes, I think entrepreneurship, but that's part of the whole capitalist idea that if you really can, everybody can work together and have your own little business, and you too can become Kanye West or whatever it is. But that's not going to happen because there's no room. It's like people saying, you too can become Oprah. There's not going to be any more Oprah. There's room for one Oprah. That was a whole other question. So we have to talk in terms of the people. So if we're going to create a business, we're not trying to sell people product that's going to cost them a whole lot of money. That doesn't mean we don't want to make some money to survive, but these would be survival programs. That's what I have right now, a survival program. And I've got a $67 million project, believe it or not, for which I have about 20-some million online right now. And you can ask me how I got it another day. It was like up against a wall kind of thing. So, and it can be done. It can be done. And you have to make money for yourself to survive. It's very difficult. When we were in the Black Panther Party, we gave up everything we had. And it was real hard to be in it, hard as hell to be in the Black Panther Party. But I'm not advocating that per se. We do have to have money for our people, but we have to think in terms of our people.
Next question.
How you doing? My name is Millard Devine. You was talking about the stuff you got going on on the West Coast with the formerly incarcerated people. I'm formerly incarcerated myself. I also got a book for you when you're done. And I want to know, is there a blueprint that you can share that I can look online and look at what you're actually doing, the motto of that?
Well, you know, there ain't no blueprint for how to deal with this man successfully, because we're still sitting here talking about this stuff. But I will tell you very quickly, and I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I do want to tell you, and I'll be happy to talk to you later. What we did was we made up our minds that somebody asked me, how can we stop recidivism, one of these Negro elected officials? Because, you know, they're not going to do anything, so they like to have policy discussions, and then they're going to create some kind of committee, you know, and subcommittee, and divide up the whatever, hoobie-boo. So, you know, that's how it's going to be. But in asking me that question, I said, well, here you are, a big-time politician. Why don't you run to all these people in Oakland that have these big corporations and tell them to just give you 5 or 10 jobs as a model? Because people are being paid millions of dollars right now for training programs that have no meaning at all, as you probably know. So what we did was I said, well, the only other thing you can do is create your own business. How will we do that? I have no idea. But the one thing I learned in the Black Panther Party, when they told us to have a breakfast program, that's all we got from the Central Committee. You got to have a breakfast program in LA, and you got a month to have it. Anybody said, oh, here's the money, where's the building? None of it. Goodbye. Create one. And we did it. And so I have this notion that, okay, this is doable. This is within the range of something I could do. So I just started looking at empty lots in West Oakland and say, I will build some businesses on these lots. I have no idea how that would happen. But I found an empty lot. And I also found that the law was that, now I started to do the old Black Panther thing, how we opened a clinic. We just occupy empty storefront. What you gonna do, kill us, take us out? I don't think so. We're just gonna create a clinic right there, and we clean it up and fix it up, steel, electricity, all that. So, you know what I'm saying? You know, the big orange cord that runs through the 14 blocks of the hood, right? We don't know who's actually paying for this stuff anyway. So, you know, so I looked at this lot, and it was at 7th and Campbell in West Oakland. It was a 3/4 acre lot, and so it turns out that it was a tax defaulted lot, and that tax defaulted properties didn't have to be put up for auction by the tax collector, but they could be given to a nonprofit for a higher, better purpose. So I said, give it to me, to the city and to the county. And of course they said no, but I fought, and I got it for nothing, but I had to agree to build housing. I thought that was a no-brainer. Believe me, it was hard, and I'm still struggling. Look online and look at Oakland and the World Enterprises, but the bottom line is, there isn't a blueprint. It is just that I'm made myself say, I'm going to create these businesses. Once I create 1 or 2 of them, so we have a farm, and we've got all incarcerated people, formerly incarcerated, on there. And they've created not a collective like workers collective. They know they're going to own this stuff. I said, I want you to be millionaires. I don't want you to be poor. We ain't trying to be poor. We're going to create an example here where we can say this is how you can have some money and still have a cooperative venture, and it will be serving people. So we're going to have a fitness center. We'll have a restaurant. We'll have a grocery store and a place where I told you all you can buy is kale chips for $5 a bag, because the dollar store is gone. All you can buy from is, you know, the liquor store that has a little bit of everything in it, you know what I mean? So it isn't that difficult, but it is difficult. But if you can just like have a group of people that are willing to say, not be afraid, because we don't often know that there's stuff out there that we can seize, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed until now. Now they're all. I'm the only black person developing any housing in Oakland right now, and it's all affordable, 100%. And when I say affordable, I'm talking about Oakland is a place where what's that? A 1-bedroom for $1,500 is cheap in Oakland, isn't it? No, you're not gonna find a 1-bedroom for $1,500. $2,000. You know, San Francisco has become more expensive than New York to live in, and Oakland has taken all the, the overflow, so to speak. And so $1,500, $2,000 for a 1-bedroom is what it is. Our 1-bedroom will probably be $300 or $400, and we want to show that we can make that happen, and we will make that happen. And so I'm telling you, if I can do this, I know nothing about housing development. I know a lot now, that I didn't know. But I didn't know anything about it, but I just said I want to do it. So if you guys have technological skills, you got to then put your mind to the idea that you can collectively, and if you come here and start becoming, formations have to form. You've got to form your formations, you know, and create the things that we need. And you'll be, I swear to God, you'll be able to do it. But one thing is to do is to research the laws on the land. Like, for example, though, formerly incarcerated people in the state of California, there's like, I don't know, 4,000 barriers to even, not just to having a job, but to even owning a business. Like, you can't get a business license as a hair cutter, you know, what do you call it, barber. Now, is that stupid or what? So you want these people, and you can't rent anything, by the way. You can't rent an apartment in the city in California. Formerly incarcerated people are denied housing all the time because background check, too bad, can't do it. Can't get Section 8, can't get housing assistance. So I'm trying to show that we've got to create the conditions for our people to come out of that morass of figuring like, you know, well, I'm going to go back to slinging, which ain't really very profitable these days. And now we're the home of Felix Mitchell and Lil D. We ain't going to have no more Lil D's and Felix Mitchells anymore because the market is saturated. Everybody knows can get weed and drugs. You can walk down the street and get high, can't you? Oakland is that bad, you know. I'm serious. They have a place called Oaksterdam. It's a school where you can learn about weed. No, seriously. So the weed business is over, you know, for your average person trying to sling. So we got to find means to survive until we can figure out a way to change the whole thing. And that's what this is about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And this is the last question.
Okay.
Hi.
How
I'm
you
Aaron.
doing?
Thank
How
you
you
for
doing?
being here and for what you've done for us. My question is, through this much-needed campaign to liberate through technology, how are we going to maintain a connection to the ways that we gain knowledge before technology was a thing? Back in the days of the early Black Panther Party, technology was prevalent, but it wasn't as far-reaching as it is today. So how are we going to make sure that the knowledge in the printed word, the insights there, and the viewpoints aren't forgotten as we move forward?
Well, you know, yeah, back in the day, but remember, we also were talking about technology and understood communication, transportation before we knew there was an internet, but the CIA knew there was an internet because that's who invented it, right? So for military purposes, theoretically. So, I mean, what is it that you want? In other words, if you go right now there, I was told that when I was in Philly last week that there are schools in North Philly where there's no teacher in the classroom. People just check in. Somebody should not, is that right? People actually just sign in and then leave. I don't get that, right? I do not get that they sign in and leave. So if we're talking about forms of education, we created our own school in the Black Panther Party. So you can do that. You know, there's a lot of children out here that if we're complaining about the public school, you are not going to fix it right now, right? But we created our own school because we said we wanted our children to, we said educate to liberate, you know. And so that's part of the game. That's part of it. It's for us to begin to take on the mantle because nobody's coming to help us anymore. Not that they ever did. And so I think that, you know, I'm not talking about after-school programs where we read nice things about, like, written by Langston Hughes or somebody. I'm talking about, I like Langston Hughes, don't misunderstand. But where we really begin to teach our children how to think for themselves and how to use all those tools that they can use. I don't know if I'm addressing your question, but we have to educate to liberate, and that's part of it. It may not be in the traditional way, and that's on you. This is your generation, and this is your time. If I could think forward, and you won't be able to, you know, and as I love this poem, everybody probably knows it, Khalil Gibran, your children, not your children, sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They came through you, but not from you. They live in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot enter, not even in your dreams. So I'm living here, but this is your time. And so you're going to have to come up with ways that adapt, because it ain't that deep, the difference, because North Philly's still there, you know, as all the other North Phillies that there are. And so the differences are only very superficial in terms of the technology. Now, of course, we never thought about the iPhone. We never imagined such a thing. But we never imagined, you don't know what we can imagine now. In terms of the future, and some person like you or whoever can come up with yet another code to do another thing. But if we're focused on freedom, then we won't go too far astray, and we won't be inventing apps to be deliver all the gig economy and all that stuff. We won't be sitting around dreaming of how am I going to invent the next little app that somebody's going to buy. Lastly, I want to say this. Interestingly enough, the richest black person in America, who is it? Does everybody know? Who do you think it is? Everybody thinks it's Oprah Winfrey. It used to be. It's a guy named Robert F. Smith. And who the hell is Robert F. Smith? That guy has a company called whatever, the Robert F. Smith, Silicon Valley, I'm buying tech startup businesses, Robert F. Smith, a brother, and who has a limited amount of consciousness. And don't try to contact him because I am. You know what I'm talking about. So, but it turns out that Robert F. Smith had a foundation. So I'm just looking, it's like, who the hell is Robert F. Smith? He's a cover of Fortune, all this stuff. And so it turns out he has a foundation. So I was looking on the website, whatever, and it had the executive director was whoever of the foundation, right? And I wrote a letter. I just said, I'm starting a startup tech business for formerly incarcerated people. We don't know what that means. We're going to figure that out in a minute. It's a startup tech. And I would love to have get some information from you about what your thoughts would be for how I should, mostly your money, but I just said information. You say that I want to learn from you. So anyway, I wrote this man, I get a letter back, and it says, you know how you write these people that you send somebody to the website, but they never write you back? I get a letter back. The woman says, I'm the executive director, very interested in your project. I've heard about it, and so forth and so on, and signed whatever her name is, and then it had, in parentheses, Ucali, a name Ucali. Now, I only know one Ucali, and that's the sister that used to be in the party in D.C. So I go, it couldn't be, right? That's just too wild, but it was. Is that wild? So you just sometimes have to get out there and do shit, and you never know how it's going to, if you float it all out there enough, it'll happen. But I want to say this to you before I finish, and I appreciate the time you've given me, Idalin, on this program. And I hope that you guys are going to stick to the agenda and come back and keep on, getting involved in the day-to-day, form small groups or larger groups and figure out different aspects of things that each person can do. One of the things we did in the party, everybody can't do everything, right? Obviously, right? But some of us, like I was not going to be able to cook at the breakfast program because you would not want to eat it and we'll turn everybody off. But I know I can clean, and I like to clean, believe it or not. I have some OCD thing where I really like to clean. So everybody had a job to do. You had people that were on security. They were better at it. Why sit here and worry about gender? Are we evenly dividing the men and the women? Who gives a shit? You got to be on security. That's the way the game is, right? And so who can write? I write. I could write. I could read and write more than a lot of my comrades because I'd gone to all-white schools. So I would do articles for the newspaper. Everybody has a role to play and an area to participate. Everybody's not going to do the same thing. So you guys should start dividing yourselves up. I'm looking at you, and you really want to do it, and I feel it. Divide yourselves up into what are the good things we could be doing now? Should we be doing education of our people? Should we be talking about programming? Should we, whatever it is that I can't talk about, like logarithms or logarithm, whatever it is. It's a rhythm. So, of some kind. So anyway, I want to thank you for being so enthusiastic and I'm seeing you and I'm feeling you. Don't let this go. Hold on to it. And Idalin, you have really started something, and I appreciate all the energy all of you have given me, and I hope that when I come back next year or something, assuming I live, old as my ass is, but anyway, we old, what can I say? We. So when we come back, there'll be something else in place where you've done one project and it's gone forward. Do I need to say anything else? I'm finished talking. Thank you very much.
All right, so we still have some more things to do today. We're about to break out into groups, so we definitely would want all crowd participation in that. But before we get there, I wrote some things down as Sister Elaine Brown was talking. One thing I remember last year Sister Elaine shared with me was something that the Black Panther Party would say was the people power is greater than men's technology. And I thought that was so important. I want us to really know and really hone into that. We're not trying to build a culture of fear. We're trying to build a culture of freedom here. And that's what this program is all about. There's tons of youth coding programs in New York, all around the US. We're not trying to help kids go into Silicon Valley. If you look here, it says building a pipeline of techies to what? Serve the people. That's what we're doing here. Because, yeah, we could get people into jobs, but those jobs will go away, just as the other jobs went away. And what are we going to do if we don't have freedom? That's the type of energy we want. Why we have Sister Elaine Brown speaking today is because it's very important to have a historical analysis of what's going on. So many people say, oh, I want to bring a solution, but do you even know what the problem is? And are you committed to knowing what the problem is? That's why we have political education and tech training is very important. We need to be committed. We can't say, oh, start a Facebook group, have it private, and we're going to create this energy. No, we need you here. We need to see you, feel you. That's how trust is created. In Ferguson, how a lot of the movement died was because of paranoia. How can we create a culture of trust, of love, of commitments? We need to start that today and continue it out. Today, we're not going to have all the answers. We're going to create that as we go. Again, what we need is your commitments. Another thing, I know Sister Elaine, she drops gems, and I'm very honored to be able to call her and just talk and to listen. One thing she says is weaponize everything. Culture is a weapon. Weaponize everything. Culture is a weapon. Huey said, if a man doesn't have a weapon, he will always be a slave or be in a condition to be enslaved. Tech is a weapon. We have to really learn this because it is changing the world. I'm going to read a couple of things in this book, A Taste of Power. If you don't know, this is Sister Elaine's book. It's a very powerful book. I'm going to read two things. One, it says, eventually, a time will come, not in our lifetimes, comrades, but a time will come when the people will understand their power and the pig's machinery will be unable to accommodate their demands. That is when the people, Black people and poor white people and oppressed people all over America will rise up like a mighty tide and wash clean this beachfront of capitalism and racism and make revolution. Another quote is, in our revolution, one had literally be part of the solution or part of the problem. So I do want to remind all of you to have that. You're either part of the revolution or you're part of the problem. So we don't need you to be wishy-washy. We need you to commit. One thing that Civil had in his music that I thought was super dope, and he kept repeating it, but I want it to get stuck in your head, is never be scared of our own people. Never be scared of our own people. Know who your people is, know who your enemy is, and don't confuse the two. Just because you see someone who look like you in the street, that person may not be your people. Never be scared of your people. We're going to move on to workshops. Everyone should have had a sheet when they came in. This explains what we want to do in the space. We want to hold monthly workshops in this space. We want to hold monthly youth groups in this space. We want to have a Tech Warrior Fellowship. The fellowship was named because Sister Elaine Brown was like, we need Tech Warriors. I'm like, okay, I got it. The fellowship will come with monthly stipends, but we're looking for people to be committed for 10 months to political education, to tech trainings, and really be kind of like an intern, if you want to use that word, that entrepreneurship word, of really being committed to social justice projects. We have group leads who will help facilitate these breakout sessions. So I'm going to start with mine. where we're going to discuss digital security. So if you want to learn about digital security or see how we're going to create a curriculum in this space to welcome digital security workshops, you'll come with me. If you have one of these sheets and you're one of our facilitators, can you come up to the stage and explain what your group is? We'll line up and then we'll break out into those groups for like 30 minutes and then do a report back. Don't be scared.
Actually, we put ours upstairs, but our group, I think Jade is in the bathroom, but we're doing web development and activism, so we're going to be just right upstairs.
So if you're interested in political education, hopefully you are, come see me.
Our group is on media. We're going to meet in this backspace back here.
We're going to be talking about mental and behavioral health and how technology helps and hinders that. And we'll be right over here on this side.
Hello, our group is Youth Explore for ages 8 through 10. We'll talk about youth in the movement, so we'd love to gather your ideas. So we'll be meeting right here in the back.
You don't have to be 8 through 10 to be a part of this.
Yeah, right.
You could, no, ideas for.
Right. So we know there's no 8 to 10-year-olds running around, and this is what we want to create. So if you're interested in mental and behavioral health, and what that means is, I mean, we could talk about tech all we want. How many people check your phones all the time? What does that do to your psyche? We could talk about, you know, you're looking on social media, you're looking at killings after killings after killings. What does that do to your psyche? How can we make sure we're good? So Nancy will be, where? Right over here. Okay. So if you're interested in that, please go with her. And you can just get up and just go. And then if you're, go ahead. Yeah, so we're going to do it for 30 minutes. And we would like all crowd participation in one of the groups. So if you're interested in media, you could get up and follow Sierra. And then we have Jade and Kai. If you're interested in web development, everything software, open source, follow Jade and Kai. They are going upstairs. So you can follow them. Right now we'll be breaking out for 30 minutes and then coming back.